Today's video starts at Five Below. They have this really cool table that I saw. It comes in different colors and it was only $5. It was really sturdy for $5. The tray part removes. So in my mind, I'm thinking I can make another top and then have another tray. So two projects in one. I've been messing around with resin for a while now, and I really love it. So today I'm using art resin, and this is a two-part clear epoxy that has a 24 to 48 hour cure time. I have a mold, and my plan is to pour one layer, then use some made by Marley Decoupage paper in between the layers. So first I mix equal parts, I weigh it out, and then I stir it up. I try not to stir too fast to get too many bubbles in it. It looks like I was stirring fast, but I really just sped up the video. So now I am getting ready to pour it in. Now I have made sure that this is a level spot. So I am pouring it in a clear silicone mold, and I've found it's best to just pour it in the middle and let it spread out to the sides. I'm using the spoon that I stirred with to help get it out to the edges, because remember, this layer is only a thin one. So again, I'm making sure it's level because I want this piece to be even. I take a lighter and I pop the bubbles. You can also get bubbles to release by putting something in around the edges. Like I'm going to use the handle of the spoon and just put it in there and just kind of release the bubbles around the edges, and then you can use the lighter again because that brings them to the surface. So it's really kind of fun once you start playing with this resin, but right now I'm very much in the experimental stages. So if anybody's watching this and you're a pro resiner, just understand I'm a beginner and I welcome any of your constructive criticism. I'm a Made by Marley brand ambassador. Made by Marley makes amazing decoupage paper, and I'm using the geode pattern. If you're local, you can pick up the paper at my shop at Cosmic Charlie's Coffee House in Bellwood, Pennsylvania. But if you're not, you can find it at this website, and I'll put it in the description box. Right now I'm doing something that didn't work. I thought I could make a tissue paper template and then cut out the piece. Well, you know what? I just couldn't get it lined up. So I considered that a fail. And then I decided that I was going to do something different. And I fussy cut some of the designs, the geode patterns from all three of the papers. So I still used the one I originally started cutting, and then I started using some more. Don't worry, I'm not going to waste those scraps either. And check it out, it's falling on my cured surface. So that's nice. One layer in there, it's nice and smooth and cured. And I'm arranging it. And I forgot this time, the first time you saw me spray it, that was with Rust-Oleum 2X matte sealer. I was afraid that the paper might run. This time I forgot to do it. I'm a beginner again, so I mixed up a big batch here to continue filling it, but I'm taking the brush and I'm using it to kind of, in place of what we'd normally use Mod Podge to put it on furniture or other surfaces, I'm using it to wet the back, brushing it on to put it on this surface. I had reached out to some people in a Facebook group, and this was some advice that I got. They suggested I brush it on. It sounded like the instructions for applying a smooth decoupage paper job, and then to brush over it again. I decided to just brush it down and then pour over it. As you can see, the paper's kind of evenly getting coated, so it turned out good. You'll see in another project I'm doing later, and I'll refer back to this moment. So kind of put a pin in that so we can talk about that a little bit later. But I continue to, I guess I do brush over this. How about that? I didn't remember doing that. But anyway, so brushing over it and then adding the rest of the medallions to complete the look. So now I'm ready for the pour. I put it on a tray and I decided to carry it up to my office. We have air conditioning in our dining room where I'm at working right now, but I decided to take it upstairs because that room I can block off the air conditioning. I add some Capiz shells that I had that were really thin, and I also sprinkled a little bit of jewelry glitter in there. I just went crazy and just added stuff before I finished pouring the rest of the resin. So now I need to let it sit for a day or two, and then it's time to unmold. So I'm just peeling back that silicone mold, and it comes out really easily. I love this mold. It's a geode, which is I didn't even think of it until just now that I'm using a geode paper made by Marley here. So very cohesive, but I also think that this would lend itself well to a flower. I feel like you could make it a flower design. So look how pretty. I love it, and I think the sunshine's really what's going to show it off. I plan on using this around our pool when we get our pool and it quits raining finally. I decide to paint some black around the edges. I think because the base is black, I just think that's going to finish it off and frame it off. Once it dries, I take a super fine grit. I think it's like a 2000 grit sandpaper. And you know, this is those little finger sanders you get from Amazon. They have those fine grits in there. So I'm using Rust-Oleum's 2x clear in the gloss formula. And I do both sides and I let it dry thoroughly in between. I think this little table turned out to be a real cutie. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. I know I'm going to enjoy setting my beverages on it around my pool this summer. Well, I still had the tray, so I pull out another made by Marley paper. This is a special order set called the Springtide set, and it has 12 papers in it. I'm only using one. And I'm just picking this design because I think, first of all, I love the floral, and I just think it'll fill up the tray very nicely. So I, again, am fussy cutting around the flowers. I'm going to use resin again. This time I'm going to use UV resin, which cures with a UV light. So I am just this time going to make a mistake. You'll see how it turns out. Remember earlier I talked about this? So I just squirted the resin on the paper. The last time I brushed it on, it was mixed and I brushed it on, but you could see some of the paper was getting lighter. This time, it just absorbed in those areas, maybe the different formula, but as you can see, I'm spreading it around, but I still have those marks where I initially squirted that out. So I keep going because I think that it'll probably work itself out. You can see the paper starting to saturate. But look when I flip it over. I still keep going because I just am convinced that it's not going to be too bad. So you'll see how it does turn out. And it does, spoiler alert, it does turn out not too bad. But the next time, here's what I think I would do. I would seal the back of the paper if I was going to do this method. And I probably wouldn't squirt it on like that. I would probably squirt a little bit in something else and then brush it on. So that's, again, my newbie mistakes that I make, but that's how you learn. Now, I did use a good bit of UV resin in here. So I just took the cap off, and the squeezy cap, and just poured it in and spread it around. So now this time I'm not adding anything, but I still do 2 layers. So UV, like if this was clear, like the tray is black, so UV resin is not going to penetrate that. It's only going to penetrate the clear resin. So this UV lamp is really cool. It splits up, so I can use it like that, and then I can put it together, and it's really cool. So anyway, it's magnetic, so it hooks together. So you can kind of bake the top and the bottom with a clear mold. So I call it baking. I call it my easy bake oven. So now I poured another layer, and I'm just using the lighter to get the bubbles out. I should have probably done that on the first layer. Didn't do it. So I will learn as I go, but I'm having so much fun playing with resin and learning it. So after I cure it, then I decide that it needs sort of a gold frame. And as you can see, it doesn't look too bad, but it's not exactly the way I pictured it. So I think it would be more vibrant if I had sprayed it first. So, live and learn. This is how you learn. So I think it turned out pretty cool. What do you think? You'll have to let me know. It definitely cured nicely, and I can certainly not be afraid to set a drink on there. Um, it's not perfect, but I like it. I'll take it. I think it's a good 2-for-1 deal for $5. So I told you I wasn't going to let those scraps go to waste. So I'm just showing you right here how I am now putting this back together. It is magnetic, and it just kind of snaps together when you have it the right way. I had to turn it around, but it is so cool because it's just that little. I call it a drawer, but it's just like a little cookie tray. Slides in and out. But what I'm going to do now is use those scraps and also UV resin again and make some earrings. So these are just little molds. And note about the mold, we'll talk about this again, but remember when I was talking about the tray, and I said UV resin couldn't penetrate those colors. It can to a degree, especially this is not like the metal tray was in black. It's a little more opaque, but not that much. So clear molds are better. The white silicone molds, they just with this type of thing, as you can see when I put it in there, maybe you can't see, it's kind of offside, but that's a little tray, and it's getting light from the top and the bottom. So while that is curing, which is the proper word, not baking like I always say, but I'm just fussy cutting out those little flowers. I think they're so pretty. It was just on the border of the one sheet. And first I cut them a little too big, and then I cut just the flower down to size. And I put them on top of that first layer that I did. And then I'm going to put a second layer. I'm not worrying about how it's going to turn out. I already know that the top doesn't fade. We learned that on the first table. But this time I'm not brushing or putting anything on the back, so I'm not worried about it. So it turns out fine. Now when I pull it out, it's a little sticky, and that's where you'll notice that doesn't penetrate that colored mold. So I should be wearing gloves, because when I touched it, it was sticky. You're really not supposed to get this on your skin. So I just flipped the second one out. And I'm also putting the mold on the tray. Reason I do that is any of that residue that's left, I can bake it right out. So while I'm doing that, I'm pulling out the findings I want. I love these kind. They're sterling, and they're a French wire, and they're a pinch bail. So you don't even have to put a jump ring in them. So I pulled my earrings out and I'm wearing them, but notice that they're just not showing up very well. So I'm taking a little more UV resin, and I'm taking some white colorant. This is an opaque colorant. So I'm only using a drop because, again, it won't cure properly if you use too much because it is opaque. But I mix that up. It's such a tiny amount, and I'm just using the spoon. And then I'm painting the backs of them. That way those little flowers are going to show up a lot better. I have barely enough, but it all works out. I'm able to spread that one around nicely, and I put it on the tray. And then I go to the second one, and as you'll see, I accidentally flip it over, which I'm working on drop cloth. Whoopsie. So that kind of takes some of my resin away. So I'm just kind of using the curve of the thing and the spoon, and I'm able to just get enough to finish the job. So I put that in my little easy bake oven for a few minutes and then pull them out, and they make a big difference now. If you're interested in all these resin products, anything that I get from Amazon, I'm going to put the links in the description box for you. I pull them out, and what a big difference. Now you can see that beautiful Made by Marley flower on there. First they were kind of unremarkable, and now I think they're pretty remarkable. Let me know what you think of this and of all the projects with our Made by Marley Decoupage paper and resin. Please subscribe to my new channel, Tuesday Talk, and also the Flippin' Bunch has a new channel as well. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this content, please hit the like button and share with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Find Statement Designs on the web at www.statementdesigns.org and on social media as Statement Designs. Stay well.